welcome everyone. We have a great guest today. Her name is Heidi. Is it Irgrens?
Irgrens.
Irgrens. Okay, we wanted to get that right. And she's down in Peru, the lucky lady. So anyhow, I'm going to go through. She's going to, her talk is going to be about tuning forks, using them for healing and clearing and all different. It's going to be really interesting. So let me read her bio a little here. Heidi has been dowsing for more than 20 years. That's where I know her from. We see each other at the dowsing conventions, and founded her company, Energies,
yeah.
Energies Healing in 2010. And she combines Acutonics Integrative Healing, Aromatherapy, Reiki, energy medicine, Herbalism, flower essences, and stone medicine to help people come into resonance and harmony. With a background in music, she also brings singing in her sessions with influences from training with Tom Kenyon, Tito la Rosa, and MetaMusic Institute, and singing with the Threshold Choir. And she works in person and distant works. And she's got an MA in consciousness study. She's a licensed spiritual healer, and she's certified in Acutonics, Biofield Tuning practices, certified, it's like mine, you just like, certified past life regression therapy, and she's a lifelong learner. So that's great. Okay, so hello, Heidi from Lucky in Peru. What's the weather like there?
It's hot.
Hot. Okay.
Well, I'm on the coast, so it's summer weather right now. Summer.
Okay.
It's the middle of summer.
And I always remember at the dowsing conferences, Heidi's this great singer, so they always have talent night, and she always sings. So that's how I always remember you as this singer. So we're going to start into this on the tuning forks, and we're going to go into what is sound healing, and just go through the whole thing and how she uses the forks and the different types, and she's going to do a few demonstrations, so it's going to be great. So Heidi, what is sound healing?
Short answer. I would say our bodies are about 80% water, and sound travels through water. So water is a very good carrier of sound and vibrations. So sound travels on a wave, and the wave can smooth out or release blockages that are in your body. It can move things where they need to go. I think, we're all made up of different frequencies. So like frequency, but it's not just one. It's like all of your organs are different frequencies. So your heart's a different frequency, your liver, and so we're like one big orchestra that all has to be playing in tune, right? And so if one is out of tune or out of harmony, you feel off, and it's not quite working. And it sounds like when you're listening to a symphony and something's not right. So basically, with sound healing, you can bring everything back in tune, in harmony with each other. So
and you're doing it very individualistically, right? I mean, it's not a general. It's more like you're looking at where that person is out of tune.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on why they're out of tune. It's because it might be this thing feels off, or it might be something bigger, like some emotional thing is going on, or psycho-spiritual. You just never know why.
Yeah.
Things are happening. Yeah. So it's based on the person. Yeah.
And you also do like clearing for spaces, because before we started this, she cleared my space remotely and her space, and then linked us up. It was really fabulous. So you also do space clearing. Can you talk about that?
I wouldn't say that someone would call me up and say, "Will you do a space clearing?" I don't
more harmonizing.
I don't do that. Yeah. I just do it when I'm doing distance healing, because it's important where the space you are in will affect your space as well. So, I mean, I always clear my space, and then if I'm working with someone distantly, then I can work with them. If you want me to show an example, I can do that. Okay.
That's what we want today.
All right. So I would take maybe these are the Ohm Forks, and according to Acutonics, I'll talk about different other
Yeah.
sound healing systems too, but just to start us off,
Yeah, we're going in and out here.
yeah. Can you hear this?
Yes, and these are Acutonics, right? You had that,
These,
which you have your, yeah.
these are Acutonics Ohm Forks, which they say there's no place like Ohm, and it's 130.81 hertz. So it's basically slightly off of a C. So, and so I would figure eight. So I'm connecting to the audience. So trying to metamorphic field connection. Yes. I invite you to take a deep breath and sigh it out. Yeah. And just let go of anything, any lists of things to do that you have today, and just let them go. Yeah.
Great.
And then I might do a little bit of the sun, because it's a very high frequency. These are the sun, this is an octave of the sun forks. And I would strike a Tibetan bowl, because the bowls are like portals. And my intention, 99% is intention. So intention to clear anything that's ready to be cleared, that can be cleared at this moment, and then throw it into the bowl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I've already cleared my space. I've never done this for a group, so I can't.
Oh, here we go.
I can't promise.
A whole new foray here.
I mean, I've done some work with a group, but I've never spaced with a group. Although, anything's possible. Yes,
It's all possible.
it's all possible if you believe it. Okay.
Great.
So-
I saw that, just as a little aside, like when they have the tuning forks, like say the sun, there was a low, a middle, and a high. Is that
Yes.
just three different octaves? That
It is three different octaves. So the low octaves really goes in deep to change, to work with archetypal stuff and things that have been with you like for a long time, ancestral or deep stuff, or also it can help enter the body for people who have really dense energy fields. The middle forks generally work with the physical body, like aches and pains, muscle, bone, skin, physical stuff, and the high frequency work in the etheric field, working with subtle energy. Yeah.
okay, I was
And so
wondering what that was about. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can combine them too. Like if you want to help bring the information from the etheric field into the physical body, or bring the physical body up to have a realization. I mean, it's all about how you're making this happen, or what comes up in the session as well. But in like the latest, I'm just hopping all over the place. The latest
And
fork
that's
is
how we do these. We get everywhere.
Hygeia. The Hygeia Fork, and the Hygeia was just discovered. Where I even have notes on that, because I don't remember
Hygeia a
dates
goddess?
and times and all that stuff.
Was Hygeia a goddess?
She is an asteroid. She's the largest asteroid in our solar system. She was the daughter, well, some say she was a daughter, some say she was a protege, some say she was the wife of Asclepius, who was trained by, who worked with Chiron. And I mean, it's a lot of this is in Acutonics. It's all tied into the planets and the mythology and the
Well,
archetypes.
she's a Greek character.
Yes, but she's also, I mean, she shows up in many different cultures under different names.
Yeah.
So she is based on prevention, sanitary, lifting things up to their highest level of potential. So it's not just healing, but healing as in self-care for ourselves and our home, like the earth, right? And living up to your responsibilities. So that's so with the Hygeia Forks. I'll let you listen to them.
Okay.
Do you hear them?
Mm-hmm.
They're just they're so magical. Maybe it's easier to hear. Hygeia comes in 5 octaves.
Wow.
So we've got the low, the mid, the high, another high, and then the asteroid, and then you have 2 chimes.
Wow. Look at this. Wow.
It just makes you want to like,
Oh.
the thing about all the forks have a chime related to it too. Some have a low and a mid, a low and a high. Sedna does, and Ohm, and well, actually some anyway.
So relaxing.
So you can also clear your space with a like that. Just sends it all out, right? So, anyway.
That reminds me of the dowser. What was his name that would clear everything with the spinning?
Slim?
Huh?
Slim Sperling?
Not Slim. And he
was
would
it
clear everybody's bodies, and he had created.
Joe Whippich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
him, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So, I hope that this is so terrible, but how they're mining asteroids, they're not going after Hygeia. They're going out to mine them because they're all worth trillions of dollars.
Seriously, I didn't hear that.
That's part of our space thing for the last 10 years. I mean,
oh my
that's
gosh.
why this whole thing is. That's where
Yeah.
they're going. Anyhow, but we'll
Okay.
put protection around Hygeia.
And the other 4 asteroids, which is Pallas Athena, Juno Hera, Demeter Ceres, and Vesta Hestia. Those are the other 4 that are in the Acutonics system.
Yeah, I know. Like when you have your astrology chart done, they bring those in now.
Yeah. So there's a couple points I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. We don't actually heal people. We just use sound to initiate a healing within the body. So we initiate the body to figure out what needs to be done. Okay. I'm doing pretty good on my papers. So
and it's really integrative. I mean, like what you're doing works with other modalities. I mean, like,
it does.
You know what
it
I mean?
does.
So people can be going to the regular doctor, and then this just enhances everything too.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't call it we don't compete with the
Right.
Western allopathic. It's just
It's
supportive.
integrative. Yeah.
It's very supportive, yeah. Or complementary, we call it.
Complementary. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to talk also about, because the topic was sound healing, how there's a lot when you say, sound healing, well, what's that? Well, I just made it kind of a short list, and I won't take too much time of that, but one is like sound baths and sound spas. And a lot of people love those, and that might be gongs. There's also a gong for each of the Acutonics forks too. Gong baths, harps, didgeridoos. I've had one of those. Wow, that was fantastic. Bowls. I have some crystal bowls. I have a whole lot of Tibetan bowls, so you can do a lot with that. Voice. And I've done sound spas before by myself, and also in combination with other practitioners, which is a lot of fun because you can play off of each other. But with sound baths, you can either just lay there and just let it wash over you, and it really puts you in a deep relaxive state. But I would also make a point that a lot of times it can depend on if you are in resonance with the person who's doing the sound bath, because if you're in resonance, everything's going to be.
Well,
but if you're not,
true. I went to
Yeah.
one of them, and it was so like disruptive to me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like I've gone to some, I'm like, oh, it was too much.
Yeah.
It was but some people said, oh, that was the best thing I've ever felt. So
Yeah.
it depends on your resonance with the person who's giving it. So
Yeah.
there's something for everybody.
I've gone like a couple times a year to the Integriton in Joshua Tree,
Uh-huh.
because they have this woman with all the bowls, and then the
Oh,
Integriton, everybody lays in a circle, and if you can hear the person across from you,
wow. Oh, yeah.
and that person fell asleep, so you could hear the snoring. I could hear the snoring, but no one else. It was very good.
Oh, that's funny. That's really
Yeah,
interesting.
the sound
Yeah.
there is just amazing.
Okay. So also in sound baths, there's guided sound journeys. So you can set the stage and then whoever's leading it can take you on a journey. And so there's an intention like for new moon or full moon or if they have them at yoga studios sometimes, if there's what's the word I'm looking for? The intention for the day or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when I'm in my Kundalini class, the teacher does that
Yeah.
with the gong.
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
gong is pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then there's listening to sound programs, like one lady you interviewed, Sacred Acoustics, Binaural Beats, and Binaural Beats, they can be pre-mixed with an intention, or there's apps. I have an app on my iPad where you can set what kind of binaural beats you want, what kind
That's
of,
great.
yeah, you can say, I want to do a power nap. I want to think, I want to go to sleep, I want to go into deep REM sleep. So you can choose that, and then you can choose the background noise, like waves, rain, whatever. So those are kind of
That's
cool.
like amazing. Yeah. So do you find a difference between the digital and analog? I mean,
Well, if it's too digital, then it's usually when they do binaural beats, digital, they blend it with more natural sounds.
oh, okay.
So you don't really hear the binaural beats, they're just there. And on this app, you can determine how loud you can adjust the balance of each one.
Okay.
You can, music that you love, listen to, that's sound healing. And nature sounds. So, and then there's applied sound healing, which would include Acutonics, which we're talking about today. And those are tuning forks that you apply to acupuncture points in the field, or you can make sacred geometries around the body or with the body, like a sacred tuning fork or a cosmic capstone. So there's all kinds of things you can do geometrically. There's Biofield Tuning, which I do, and Biofield Tuning actually isn't called sound healing, but you do hear the sound, but it's working with your biofield, which is about 6 feet out from your body, and you're working with old trauma that's stored in various layers.
And
And you're
are you using your tuning forks with that?
using,
Combining.
they have their own tuning forks.
Oh,
You
I
use
see.
your own tuning
Okay.
forks, and you comb in, and then you can hear when you're combing in, like the tuning fork will sound different because there's some disturbance there, and you can tell, oh well, we're this far in, so you must have been about 10 years old. Something happened.
This is an amazing
Here.
field I know nothing about.
And you were here in relationship to the body. So on this side, it has to do with your mother's side. It has to do with your not moving forward in the world, or it has to do with you're not speaking out, or so depending on where it is, you can tell something happened, some trauma, whether you remember it or not. And you don't have to remember, but you can comb it in and reintegrate it. So it's because it's kind of like I call it a sonic soul retrieval. So
There you go.
sometimes I'll do a little bit of that, and I mix things together depending on what's coming up. Yeah. Biosonics, John Bolio, he was one of the earlier ones who came up with tuning forks. He did the osteo forks and the auto tuners. I don't work with those so much, but I did read about them. I did study it a little when I was first starting out. aroma sounds. This woman was, she learned Acutonics and she learned aromatherapy, and then she built around, you've heard of raindrop therapy, right?
Right. Yeah.
So she created the vibrational raindrop therapy. So it was like raindrop therapy with tuning forks.
Explain a raindrop, how they put the little drops on your spine.
Raindrop therapy is when you put certain oils along your spine, because your spine is connected to everywhere in your body, and the oils depend on what issues are going on, because oils affect, whatever. I'm not explaining this so well, but the short answer.
So people know when we say
Yeah.
raindrop. Yeah.
So you apply the oil, and then you would apply certain forks at certain points, so to really move the oils where they need to go.
Oh,
And
that
then
makes
also
it
in the
so
field.
much deeper. Yeah.
It does. Yeah. I used to do a lot of those, but I haven't done so many. Cymatics, they have a machine you can put your feet on. It's not so much sound, because you can hear it actually, but they target respiratory, inflammatory. So that's like something you can do at home on your own, but
Yeah.
it's
The
not cheap.
frequency doctor I go to occasionally here and there, he's got one. It's really
He's got one of
amazing.
those. Yeah. The Cyma 750, I think it's called. Yeah.
Very expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's also rife types of machines, like the Spooky 2, and there's all kinds of those that you can't really hear, but they target frequencies for certain issues that you have in your body. So anyway, that's an overview of sound. I wanted to do due diligence and include that.
But I mean, it's all of this is, when you're thinking about it, the sound healing is so powerful
It is.
because it's so targeted, and it's so, it kind of reminds me of like homeopathics or something, but like from a vibratory, I mean, it'd be compatible.
Well, we do use sound homeopathically too. I mean, we may say, oh, there's this issue. Let's say, I don't know, this issue. So we can use sound to work with it. We can also use sound homeopathically. So we connect with that wound or whatever it is, and then bring it up to another level, right? So that, yeah.
It's amazing how it's just taking off. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, now, did they have tuning forks, our ancestors, or anything, or no? There's no record, or
I don't know about any records of tuning forks. No, I
more
haven't.
modern. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. They
Now-
used other sound, yeah.
Yeah, but then so for your Acutonics, you're really using like acupuncture points and everything, or you're working with the Chinese. How
Yeah.
are you working? Like
So I'll give you a little background on Acutonics itself. Acutonics in system incorporates traditional Chinese medicine. So we work with the 5 elements. We work with the channels, the meridians, points, and working alchemically with the 5 spirits. It's very much in the Taoist tradition. The frequencies were calculated mathematically based on scientific research with Johannes Kepler, then Hans Cousteau, and so the frequencies are of the planets or the Earth's rotation of a day. Earth day would be the Earth's 1-day cycle, and then those frequencies are so low that we can't hear them, so they brought them up many octaves so they would be audible. Each fork has a different frequency representing a different planet and its associated archetypes, physical properties, and correspondences with various organs and body systems. For example, Jupiter is related to, rules the liver, eyes, tendons, whereas like Mars rules the red blood vessels, the muscles. So if you wanted to work with muscles or even brain issues, you'd want to work with the kidney and the bones and the red blood cells. You'd want to work with Mars. on certain points. So each fork has its own
I see. So
correspondence.
that's how you put it together.
That's how you put it together, either working, on a point, but it wouldn't be just a point. It's not like, well, for
Right.
this, you go to this point. You might work like with the extraordinary vessels, which is like based on your, it's very transpersonal. So you working, where's the connection, or why did this issue come up? Like, let's say you have low back pain. So do you have low back pain because you were lifting something? Do you have low back pain because your posture's not, or you have to get some inserts? Do you have low back pain because it's a hereditary thing, which would be a different approach? Do you have low back pain because you feel like you're not being supported in your life? Do you have, there's so many angles that you can come in at it, and then you're building this tapestry of I don't want to say what's the story.
You have a profile, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a profile. And then you would say, okay, so, my father, I always feel like I have to prove something. So then you think, okay, what does that relate to? Okay, maybe Saturn, because Saturn represents Kronos, represents the father. Maybe, something else, or maybe you'd want to work with the dew channel because that represents the father's line, the governing vessel. So it's not just, it's like
You're layering it.
you're layering everything together. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you ever work with astrology charts? I mean,
Oh,
that
yes.
just came to me.
Yes, we do. There's Astrotonics. So,
Acutonics. Oh,
yes,
it keeps
that's one of
going.
the electives. So you always look at someone's chart. I mean, it depends. You don't have to, but I've
Oh,
done
no,
some
but
where
this is interesting.
I know this is really interesting. You pull someone's chart and you look, there's a whole thing where you go, okay, you figure out this, and then there's a whole protocol that lets you, working with a chart and the body, certain essential oils and forks, you're actually reconnecting you to your soul template based on your astrological chart.
Wow.
So you're re-downloading what you came here to do based on your astrological chart. So that's really cool
Now,
too.
when you have the Vedic and the Western, they're different, so you could be working it differently too.
You
right?
could. Yeah, this one was based on the Western, but
Okay.
if you knew Vedic astrology, which I don't, then you could work with it that way as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just covered everything here.
They did. Let me tell you their background. So just real quick, because I would feel if I wasn't doing due
Oh,
diligence.
this is great. You don't need to be quick. We got time. 'Cause
Okay.
This is like interesting information a lot of people don't know, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And when we learn it, like if you want to be an Accutonics practitioner, you take all these classes, it may take a couple of years, or you could do it fast track, but then you'd have to, because it's so much information, right? And then you do electives, you have to do clinical hours, and you have to do a thesis as well. So there's a lot of these newer electives came out of students' theses that they just grew it into something bigger. So, because it also weaves in Jungian archetypes, mythology. The Acutonics Institute of Integrative Medicine was founded in 1997 in Seattle by Donna Carey and, oh my gosh, I'm not remembering names. And then Ellen came in.
Wow, now.
It's been around. She had a acupuncture clinic and school in Seattle, and she was very concerned about all of the acupuncture needles going into where do they go. That's a lot of
That's
waste,
something
right?
you never think of.
You never think about that. And then she had this she was listening to these gongs, and she had this like kind of a kundalini experience. And then so she kept collecting gongs, and then she developed this whole thing along with one woman who's also an artist, musician, and a shamanistic. So they developed that, and then Ellen came in, who's very Jungian, and so they developed it. And then in 2000, they moved to New Mexico. So they're in New Mexico now. But now they're And Donna, she is so visionary, right? So they have like I don't want to call it a farm because it's not really a farm, but they have all these. They're
Retreat.
It's like a retreat, but it's where they live. And she uses chimes with all of the plants and the vegetables, and they're just like, wow, they really respond, you know?
Oh, that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole other thing, working with plants, because they wanted to dedicate the whole thing to health and education, training other people to do it, and sustainable living. So, yeah, so that's
And
a
can
whole
you
other thing.
visit there, or is it just
Um,
school for training?
no, it's just, yeah, school for training.
And so I imagine there's been thousands and thousands of graduates by now, right?
There's a lot of graduates, and they're all over the world. There's also some people who do acutonics, like acupuncture without borders. So they do acutonics, and they go into
Acupuncture without borders. I didn't
yeah,
know about that.
the acutonics without borders. So they're also
Acutonics.
acupuncturists as well. But it's hard to go in and do acupuncture. You can bring the forks, right?
Acutonics without borders. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of self-care. So there you can do self-care with a number of forks. You learn some basic points and work with yourself too. Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
This is like something else, how it's spread out like that.
Yeah, and it's very deep. I mean, I used to think, oh wow, this is cool, but I'm still always learning more and more, and then remembering more about it too. Yeah. So like if
I
someone,
saw like on their website, like going through, like looking at some of their stuff, because over and over I was going to buy this one, that one, then I always, now I'm really going to do it. But, uh, you know, I just like looking, they had like the whole Fibonacci series too.
oh yeah, there's a whole. Here's the extra forks that they have. Yeah, they have the Fibonacci set, and the Fibonacci set works with repatterning and change, like releasing vibrational patterns that are created through our beliefs and thought patterns and habits. So that whole thing is working with trauma. And then so you can release trauma and release old habits and release old paradigms basically with the Fibonacci set. There's a Chiron fork. A Chiron is the wounded healer. He was a centaur. Are you familiar with Chiron? Well, maybe not everyone is.
am.
Yeah. Chiron is,
House.
I'm sorry?
I said he's in my sixth house.
Oh, okay. Chiron is, he was a healer and a teacher. Nibiru is another one of the forks, which addresses the emotion of the wound. I mean, there's a whole other thing that we could go into that I won't today about Nibiru or Planet X. But it also recognizes our lessons of lifetimes, and it's resetting things, changing the paradigm. So you can use in the Acutonics, you learn Chiron and Nibiru together. So if your Chiron, where is your core wounding, right? And you work with Chiron, well, I'll have you listen to it. That might be nice. As I talk about them, you can listen to them. Okay? So you always use, you don't just use a fork by itself, you use it with another fork. So you're using an interval because the intervals create the space in between, right? So like two close together is a microtone that breaks up energy because it's like dissonant, right? A third can be a minor third, which is like, okay. And then a major third is like, oh, right? A fourth is the soul being in the body, the soul's experience of being in the body. A fifth is like, that's the bridge or the portal to outside of, above, into the etheric realm, right? Yeah, 6 is about inspiration, and the 7th, you just want to resolve into the octave, right? And then you have compound intervals. So I'll do Chiron and Ohm first.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. Ohm and Chiron. Okay. Chiron. Do you hear it?
Mhm.
I can't hear what you're hearing, so I don't know if
It's very low.
it's very low. Okay. How's that?
That's good.
I know. Let me use a high frequency. That'll make it better.
Okay.
Yeah. Say Om. Do you hear it?
Mhm.
Sorry about that. So it's a major second. It's not a microtone. So where's the wound? The original core wound, right? And then you would use other forks to, like, when I work with someone, and everyone works differently, I always dowse as well. Other people dowse using muscle testing dowsing, or some people, they just get it, or they know, or they do it. Okay, then I'm going to do this. So everybody works differently. The way I work, I'll think of it, and then I always check it with the dowsing. Is that right? And sometimes I don't know, and I'll wait for something to come in. Oh, okay. Or sometimes I'll douse and I'll go, oh, really? And then while I'm using it, then the answer will come why it happened that way. If that makes sense.
Right?
Yeah. So this is Om and Nibiru.
Okay.
It's a minor third, I believe.
Mhm.
And then if I use Chiron and Nibiru together, it's like, where's the wound? And let's revision that, or let's change the story around that, right? Not change the story, but let's flip it so we see it in a different light. Because you can't change what happened, but you can change your reaction or
Right.
your, yeah. Now that's kind of dissonant. So there's a whole protocol around that.
So
So
if people like at home, let's say, like because of all this pandemic and all this, so people stressful, what would be two good ones that they could be using to, or what would you recommend, like any of them?
oh, well, I mean,
Kind of basic.
self-care,
Om,
self-care. Okay.
self-care.
Yeah. For self-care, I made a list. I would do ohms. Ohms is good because you can just listen to ohms. You can put ohms on points. You can put ohms on your heart center.
Oh, that's the thing. Show them how you use these.
Okay.
You
So
put
you have you have an activator, which is a thing around your leg, or a hockey puck.
Okay.
And you hit it. You don't hit it flat on. You hit it like on the corner,
Okay.
right? And the sound comes through there. So you would go. Oops, sorry. So you could listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
You could put it at this
There.
point, right? You could put it up here at your crown. You could put it third eye and then God's mouth in the back, right? On your chakras. There's another protocol that's really good, but remember, if you're pregnant, don't use this point. So contraindicated. There's a point on your hand. It's called
I
lung.
can't see your hand.
Sorry,
There.
lung 4 or large intestine 4,
Oh,
right
okay.
here. And so, normally you'd put 2 forks there, but if you're doing it on yourself, you can hold one and then put the other one on the point.
Okay.
Right?
Good one. Okay.
So you would do that, and on your foot, you would do it on the space between the big toe and the little toe, a little bit back.
Oh, okay.
That's liver 3. And that's like opening up so you don't feel like you're in this box. Like, so you would do all 4. And liver 3 is also a very good point if you're feeling like your blood pressure is going up, or you're like,
Where is that
I am
point?
so mad.
Where is that point again?
Oh gosh. I'm
Below
going to show
your
you my
foot.
toes. No, I can't do that.
Oh, look at that nice nail polish.
Well, you have to here in the summer. It is healthy nail polish though. Now where's that book? Anyway,
Anyhow,
shoot.
just tell us where it is again.
Okay, so let's say if this is your foot, this is your big toe.
Yeah.
It'd be like if you look where the big toe is and then the second toe, and
Yeah.
then you go down and you feel it with your finger until you can see where the fork is. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you could do that. If you wanted to invest a little more, you could also go with Zodiac. Zodiac is based on the cycle of the elliptical, the I forget how you call it. The 25,900 and something thousand years
Yeah.
from zodiac cycles. And this is, we call it the pain fork. It disperses pain. It disperses a lot of things, so you would use it with Ohm. But I'm just showing you this so you can hear it because it's harder to hear the...
Right.
And relationship to the Ohm, it's very harmonious.
That one really across.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could use Ohm and Zodiac where you have pain. Just put it where you have pain and just keep putting it and putting it and putting it. Like if you have shoulder pain, you can one on each side because the sound will go back and forth. Just go around and just keep doing that. And it's amazing. It's amazing. I've had someone come in, my brother-in-law, he could hardly walk. He hurt his knee. Something happened. And I worked on his knee for about a half an hour. And then he said, I feel great. And then he went out surfing.
There's a testimonial.
I said, well, you should probably give it a rest. No, I'm going surfing. Okay.
So this is like an amazing thing.
But and then I've also worked on people where I've like done everything and they're like, didn't do anything. But again, it's the resonance, mindset.
And sometimes there has to be a space before it affects too,
Yeah, and why? And maybe there's a reason why there's an issue. Let's go a little deeper because that's that's symptomatic.
Biofield working.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you
Let's
see
see.
people in Peru and you're in California, right?
I'm in California. Yeah, I see more people in person in California.
Uh-huh.
In Peru, I see some people,
Uh-huh.
and I do more distance work in
Oh, I
Peru
see.
of people all over the world, really. People on the East Coast and
Yeah.
wherever.
That's
Yeah.
how most people are doing their healing for the last few years.
Yeah, but most of my California clients are like, no, I'll wait till you get back. Okay.
Okay. Well, this was a really good one. I mean, there was so much information here. I could review
Well,
it. But what
I
else?
wanted to give you a couple other things about self-care that aren't necessarily Acutonics, but just to let you know. Biofield Tuning has a fork called the Sonic Slider. And originally she did the Sonic Slider, and because she just started playing with it like this, and it really tightens up your skin, but you have to do it every day. So that takes
Wanna be
discipline.
buying that one.
So, but I found, and then they also have this thing that you buy separately. It's called a circuit boot. Do you see how it has those things on the bottom?
Uh-huh.
So this is a great tool to travel with. Because you can, and you can just go like that. You can do your sinuses,
Oh,
points.
that's my problem with
points.
are my sinuses. So this
Yeah,
would
so
be a
this
good
would be
one.
yeah. I mean, you could also do Ohm and Zodiac on your sinuses,
Okay.
right?
So-
But you could do both. But if you just want to buy one fork,
Yeah.
it's pretty good. Yeah, you could do this anywhere. So this is the circuit boot. So it's the Sonic Slider and the circuit boot.
And the circuit boot is what you put on.
No, the circuit boot, because the thing about the Sonic Slider is it has an extra long handle.
Okay.
Because when you hold the forks, you can't touch this part, otherwise it'll damp the sound.
Oh, I see.
You can only hold it on the handle. so it can be free to vibrate.
Right.
So she made this that has an extra long handle, so it's easy to hold. And then this is an attachment because it spreads the vibration out. Otherwise, it would just be like a single point,
Yeah.
right?
No, that's
And this
smart.
is easier to move around. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, and she's very open to suggestions from practitioners and students. So I say, hey, this would be pretty cool. So she says, okay, and then she'll do it. So, another thing is to get a Tibetan Bowl, right?
Now the sonic slider was from who?
Biofield Tuning.
Oh, Biofield. Okay.
Yeah. So, just getting a Tibetan Bowl. And you can get it to sing.
That was beautiful.
So you get a bowl, you can sing with it,
Not like you sing.
Well, but you never know. You can just sing and
No,
sing.
I know,
And,
but I'm saying you have that beautiful voice.
Singing is good. Humming is good for the body, and the vagus nerve humming is good for that to calm you down. But getting a bowl, my mother-in-law bought a bowl because I did a lot of treatments on her when I was learning. She was one of my practice patients. One time, I just have to share this because this is the funniest story. She said, I was doing the bowl and singing, and these geometric shapes just started popping out of her ear. So it's so like, okay. I don't know what that means because at the time I was,
Exactly.
But she got a bowl, and when her blood pressure starts to go up, she does the bowl, and it helps.
What was that bowl tuned to?
I don't know. I mean, I could use the frequency generator. Maybe a G. I don't know. I'd have to play around with it. So that's another thing to do. Chanting. Music is pretty powerful. I read I actually saw a YouTube video about this woman who has an institute, I think in Wisconsin, and people having like Alzheimer's. She works a lot with people with Alzheimer's and the brain and music. And people who have played a musical instrument have a lower are less likely to have such a strong Alzheimer's. And if they played it and then they play it again when they get older and keep playing it, it's great. It helps them from having such a serious Alzheimer's. And if you didn't play an instrument, you could start anytime. Just the whole, no matter what. I mean, you could play a frame drum or a flute or anything, but music really helps with the synapses and all that. So that's a form of sound healing.
It's great they're doing so much research on all of this and and it's so like non-invasive.
It is non-invasive, yeah, definitely. On the research thing, I just wanted to bring up, there's a Biofield Resonance. There's some machine, and they can look. It's kind of like, have you seen those aura things where they can see your body? Like in cymatics, that you can see the body and then the before and after. They do it with Biofield Tuning, and they can see a big difference.
Oh.
So they haven't done it with Acutonics, but I'm sure you would see a big difference with that too. So so it's not just woo-woo. I mean, it's very
I always
scientific.
think of all these incredible instruments either coming out of Germany or Russia, but it looks like there's stuff happening. There's stuff happening here.
Including shungite.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's amazing, like all the machines that come out of Germany and the Russian music. I mean, they have that research, you know? So
Yeah.
this is great. This is, yeah. So how can people get a hold of you?
They can, the best way to get a hold of me right now would be email,
Okay.
or they can text me. Yeah.
Let's probably.
Because, I mean, I would say try both. I mean,
I
you
was
could,
going to put with the video
oh,
underneath,
yeah.
like a
Uh-huh.
thing. So would you
Okay.
like the email, I think would be better than text.
Yeah, the email would be better. Yeah.
Okay. So what is that for
It's
everybody?
Heidi, Heidi,
Hmm.
at Energies Healing, ENERG as in golf, EASE, Healing, HEALING.com.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you, Heidi. That's so much. This was a lot of stuff I didn't expect came in here. Acutonics without borders and all this that's
Yeah.
all happening. You just like, that's why I love these interviews, because you just get all of this information that, people just don't know. So thank you.
Well, I agree. I appreciate you doing that, and I always remember your presentations at the Dowser conferences. Always like, oh, and this is what I learned this year, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, those are so good. Like, I guess there's another one in Santa Cruz this summer.
Oh, they're having it live. I used to be on the board, but I said, okay, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
So.
That was a rumor. So,
Oh, okay. Well, that would be cool.
well, okay, thanks again.
Thank
I'm
you.
going
Good to see you.
end this.